Hi, welcome back to Community Hotline. Thanks for staying with us. We have a very interesting segment coming up now. It's with People for Parks. We're not going to talk just about People for Parks here in the East County area. We're going to go worldwide. So with me tonight is Kathy Minden, who is the volunteer chair and director of People for Parks. Thanks for being here, Kathy.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And I also know you from League of Women Voters because you're always involved with that. You get around. You are very involved in the community, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Tell me, if you would, a little bit about People for Parks and maybe with a little bit of the history and the mission statement, if you don't mind starting out that way.
Well, I think I'll start at the end. The exciting news is Parks and Recreation is really beginning to take off in East County.
Great.
And
That's
we're
good
going
news.
to have some amenities and provide some services. Some programming is beginning to come up. And we've been working with Gresham City Councilor Carolyn Eccles and doing some planning, and things are beginning to come to fruition.
You've been working
and
on this for a long time, too.
It's been a few years.
Yeah.
A few years. And we hope to have some programming by summer.
Wonderful. So when you say programming, what kind of things are you talking about?
Well, there could be actual family activities in the parks, and possibly the Recmobile program, which was very popular a few years back. And it went very well, and people would call and say, what's the day you're going to be in my park?
Oh, really?
And want to plan their schedules around it. And then the economy dropped in 2008.
And there was no funding left, right?
And I thought, when summer of 2009 was coming, I thought, how are we going to provide this? And in the course of working with a nonprofit, every dollar counts.
That's
and you
right.
have to be very
You have to be
effective
strategic about how you spend the
with
money.
it as possible. And I had been working with work studies interns from Portland State University and Mahood Community College. We paid $3 an hour, and they received $9 to $11 an hour. And I thought, they could do that Recmobile program. And Bess Wills of Gresham Ford very generously provides the van to make that possible. And we work with the insurance and all those details.
You found a way.
It makes it possible. And the cost, because 80% is your personnel cost,
Right.
the cost dropped dramatically.
Wow.
And we were able to provide that service. So now that's going possibly on a larger scale statewide, because you can work with the Oregon Recreation and Parks Association, ORPA, and the Oregon Auto Dealers Association. They all have these cute little vans that can be all over
That'd be great,
the parks in the state, and work with work study students and provide them a job for summer.
That's a win-win, isn't it? People for Parks, then, it's not just East County. People for Parks is the whole state.
It has connections all over the state.
Okay. All right. And how long has that organization been around?
It actually began in the late 70s, but it was used more for parks, bonds, levies, specific projects like that. And in 2003, when we knew, I'm a baby boomer, and that this issue of health for the baby boomers would be coming up, that was when we did strategic planning and tried to plan out.
What will our needs be?
Here we are on today's newspaper, the baby boomers and the effect on the economy that they're going to have, and about health. So we're here and we're prepared.
Isn't that great?
Because there are so many
you made plans ahead of time.
people who realize this.
Foresight's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, sometimes it actually happens.
I know.
You know?
Not as often as hindsight, but yeah. So what are some of the things that you have done with People for Parks? So you said it started out mostly with the bonds and levies and things to just keep the parks open, probably, and to build new ones and that kind of thing.
Some maintenance.
What are some of the things that have happened in these last few years?
I have to give a lot of credit to Reynolds School District, actually.
Really?
Because they saw the potential in having the Parks and Recreation and the Parks District, which ultimately will work its way through. And one of their issues was when Multnomah County, back I think in 2005, were planning to cut from the budget the SUN after-school programs.
Students Uniting Neighborhoods, right?
Right,
Yeah.
and we really needed after-school programming here in East County. And they realized that if we could work with People for Parks that could help with the programming, it would also help prepare for the future Parks and Recreation effort.
Perfect.
And that is what their board supported and
Great.
made possible. And of course, you know, at the time, all grants end.
Yes, they do.
You know, it's wonderful to receive
Yes,
them.
but there's always an end to them.
But there's an end. And I thought, I didn't want to have put so many pieces in place and then not have a continuation. And I realized, well, what can we make that could be tangible for the community, that could be ongoing? And that's where we had been working in Vance Park for many years in Rockwood, and had started a community garden, and then the realization of, look what we could do for summer learning for the kids if we had the Imaginative Children's Garden. So the community garden morphed into
The Imaginative
Children's Garden.
Which is an amazing garden.
It's fun. And I always planned on ending up there.
Really? Well, there you go.
I
there
thought-
was your strategic plan.
There
your
was
personal
my
strategic planning.
plan within a strategic plan. And it's an interactive, hands-on learning environment that focuses on science and math and literacy. And
All
we have
the
many
things that
partners.
all the kids need, but-
SMART is one of our favorite partners because the children look forward to choosing books, 1 or 2 books. And last summer we had a grandmother who came twice a week just so she could choose books for her grandchildren.
Oh, that's so great.
It just, so there are many elements to it.
Yeah, it's not just a place to go look at pretty flowers.
No, here we are, it's flowers
Yes,
today.
yes,
We're
in our bright
colorful.
colors. But it does so much. Now, this Imaginative Garden, you also have as part of it the Butterfly Garden.
Yes, Live Monarch Butterfly Pavilion.
And you have a big butterfly release party.
We do look forward, and the kids look forward to that. And
can
at the
imagine.
beginning, when we open July 5th, we already have the flyer out about it so that they will know the date. So we hand those
Which will
out
be in
during the
August this
summer.
year.
It's always the 4th Sunday in August, our last day.
Good. So the garden is only open from
July and August. But
that's
you
it.
know, there are so many wonderful things happening.
You pack a lot into those 2 months,
in
don't
Rockwood.
you? Yeah.
And we focus on food and nutrition. And of course, our food goes to Snowcap. And there are developments now around the Rockwood Community Food Justice Group. And there are so many things
There's a lot of things
coming
happening in that area. And they've got that big Rock the Block party that's going to be
Yes.
coming on. They're sponsored by Pathfinders, who was the guest that I just had on
Yes,
here. And so that'll be right before the garden opens, because it'll be the end of June.
We'll all be there at that Rock the Block
Wonderful.
event with our tables to share information with
We'll
the
be there, too.
public and an international market
Yeah, it's gonna be
coming to
great.
Rockwood.
Yeah.
It's just
Things
incredible.
are really moving in the right direction.
Yes.
It's a slow, long haul up that hill, but they're moving in that direction. So
Once
that's a
you
good
get
thing.
near the top, things really,
They speed up, huh? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
you go, wow, we're here. You know?
So tell me a little bit, Kathy, about the garden itself. In working in the garden, you met some people in the neighborhood who talked to you about where they came from, and this spurred a whole different project for you. Tell me about what spurred your trip to Nicaragua.
Well, Rockwood is so blessed with so many cultures, and each culture has something unique about them and some special feature or significance, and many of them have come from great need, underdeveloped, very little development that
You're
has
talking
gone
about countries
on.
that are underdeveloped?
The countries,
Yeah.
and political strife, a lot of that.
There's a huge immigrant population in that area,
And-
which is a blessing.
It is.
And it's also a problem sometimes because
Well, there are
communication
underlying
and
issues
Yeah.
that go along with
Yeah.
it. And there, I think I heard 70-some languages.
Yeah,
in
that's what I've heard in
Rockwood
the
alone.
Reynolds School District alone.
So
That's what
it's-
I've heard, 70-some languages spoken,
it's-
which is
it's-
amazing and overwhelming.
It can
Yeah,
be in many
yeah.
ways. But within those cultures, they carry that desire, the same for their children. They want the best for their
course,
children.
of course.
They want education. They want their children to have opportunities. So nothing has changed.
Yeah, they're-
Still immigrant America.
Yeah, and we're all the same.
We're
When
all
you get,
immigrants.
you get inside, we're all the same. So tell me about that. Then I remember you said there was a gentleman that you spoke
Yes.
with who came to the garden a lot.
One of the people who live in the neighborhood came and visited the garden, and I happened to be walking up. I have permission to drive in because we have to carry things in and out of the garden. But for some reason that day I was walking in, and I saw him looking at the garden. He was standing outside, and he was doing this, and he was, you know, and you could tell that he was thinking, and
the wheels were turning,
considering it, and he got it. He understood right away what we were doing with that garden. Yeah. He realized the educational opportunities that were built into it. He saw that it could be a vehicle for bringing change in his country of Nicaragua.
Wow.
That it could be a peaceful means to address education, which even though it's free education, there are many barriers built into their system. You have to wear a uniform, which sounds like, oh, that should make it easy. But when you're on $2 a day equivalent for your wage, if you have 3 children or so, and they each have to have 2 uniforms, and plus you have to.
So what if they don't have the uniform? They don't get to go?
Well, if you can manage to go up until 6th grade, but really? After 6th grade, then the education opportunities drop off and becomes even more challenging. And if they make it through high school, there's some contact, or there's some means that they've been able to continue that long.
Right. So what did you do with this information? This gentleman is telling you about his country and how that might be a benefit to his people.
He began helping us within the garden so he could understand it even more and be able to relate it to the leaders within his community within Nicaragua.
So he was trying to relay the information back to Nicaragua.
So he was beginning to help leadership form in the villages in the north and in Granada, one of the larger cities, colonial cities. So he was beginning to develop. Is
that allergy season?
It's cold out, and I love the warmth of Nicaragua.
I'm just thinking about.
I don't think I knew anybody had colds there, and so he began preparing, and we knew that my husband would be retiring within a few years. That all of this was coming to a culmination, and we started talking about, well, when we could, maybe we would go to Nicaragua. And when my husband retired last July, then we began to seriously plan a trip to Nicaragua. And when we did in mid-January, then we were able to take the information about the garden in Spanish and Espanol. And so it was all laid out. It was already in place, the knowledge and the pieces. And those pilot projects have already begun. Oh,
that's wonderful. You know, you brought some pictures. I want to bring those pictures up. And they're pictures from your trip. And maybe you could share a little bit about what's going on. And then let's talk about some more about how this whole project came about. What are we looking at here, Kathy?
This is the realization of how little infrastructure that they've actually been able to develop in their country. And part of the reason for that is it was an oligarchy from 1937 to about almost 40 years, till the late 70s. And when oligarchy rules, very little develops. And you go, well, why would people tolerate that? Well, we don't look down a barrel of a gun.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right. It's like, what are you going to do?
You know, you can say one thing. So the roads, the infrastructure is not there. It's very little. There are a few main roads, but there are very few connecting roads or paved roads.
But they have phones.
They finally have a phone in the northern village, and this is for the families in the village to be able to communicate with their children, grown children.
A phone.
Yes, and they plan to call. There's the people at this residence will send a message then through one of the children that your child will be calling you at such and such day at a time. And they've only had that a year. And they've only had electricity at this residence for the past 3 years.
That's right. Wow.
And
how colorful it is.
This is a fiesta. This is where my husband and I were introduced as their advisors. We are not their leadership.
Yeah.
We,
The leadership is local.
the leadership is developing locally, and that's our role, is to be advisors
Consultants.
to their leaders. And you ask, well, how can you do that? You're 2,500 miles away. Well, it's amazing. You can do it by phone and by email,
Right.
and email attachments, and Skype. So
Oh,
every
oh,
Sunday
there you go.
morning, we're on Skype
Really?
with one
So
of these
this is an ongoing
projects.
thing. This did not end with
No,
your
it was
trip
the
to
beginning.
Nicaragua.
It was the
that's
beginning,
wonderful.
and because of the Rockwood community development we've done for so many years, I was able to write a 7-page analysis of things that they could do, and with very little cost. But they would have to work together, and they're very willing to do that. You have to have the knowledge come from without, not from within sometimes. You have to have the knowledge of what can be.
What is going on here?
Legos. Those are
those are
Legos.
Legos.
And the children love them, and even
doesn't?
adults too. Adults too. It's really, but there are so few because they don't have those amenities. We realize the next time we go that we're going to take more checkers games.
Oh yeah, I see the checkers.
And to provide
easy to
even
pack. You know, you can get a
yeah.
whole lot of
They don't
checkerboards in
have
there.
these things, and we were
Do they
around.
not have many games? I
They
mean,
have nothing.
oh man,
It's hard to imagine
Yeah,
that.
it
I
is.
know.
It is hard to
I know it
imagine.
is.
we're rather spoiled here.
Well, we take for granted
Yeah,
so
we sure
easily,
do.
and we don't mean to.
Yeah.
This is one of the leaders within the women's organization that has been forming loosely, and she's in the northern village area, northern villages, but it is throughout the nation, and because of the Iran-Contra war from the late 80s, from the 80s, the population is about 55% women. And so they're beginning to address quality of life issues.
Good.
And
good.
it's very exciting to see this. So these are more of the leaders in the northern village. We took a trek up the mountain.
Oh boy.
Fortunately, I had a young person who carried our luggage for us. And so these are the leaders who are already forming and
They're ready to go, aren't they?
working towards making things change.
Oh, that's great.
A couple of the little children, only about 2 years of age, I realized they were just simply bored. They were fussing, but they were bored
had
because
nothing
they
to do.
didn't have stimulation. What we have for early childhood
Right.
development here, and the brain develops the first 5 years of life. So much happens, and they don't have those types of things. Yes, they
Wow.
make little hand wooden toys or some, but it's that early
They
stimulation.
need more. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Is this
that-
your trek up
This
the
is the
mountain?
trek up the mountain. We're almost at the summit, and you'll see the young people carrying things. And
Was it a beautiful country? Did you think
oh,
it
it
was
was
a beautiful country?
just
It looks
beautiful.
like it is.
It was
A lot of
very
jungle down below
colorful and flowers. Even
And things will grow well there, won't they? In their
oh, the
gardens?
sun, the warmth of the sun,
Yeah.
and year round. Even in their rainy season, the temperature doesn't drop. These are a couple more of the leaders. This is how they arrived.
Okay, they
at
had
the
it easier than you.
Destination. And I did not get a horse ride
did
while
not
we
get a
were
horse
there. I
ride,
wanted
okay.
to, but there wasn't time. And so they've been longtime leaders and willing to work with all these elements.
Those
So these
beautiful
are some of the
flowers.
beautiful flowers that we encountered, and I just wanted
Those
to.
look like impatiens on steroids or something there on the right.
They are.
Are they
They are.
impatiens?
They're 4 feet high.
I was going to say they're
Yeah.
huge.
And I go-
or like almost like a rhododendron on the left there, but bigger. I can't
it's-
tell what that is. but
That's on a bush, a very tall bush.
Wow.
And
Beautiful.
but they are just beautiful, the color.
I like that.
And lots of fruits
Oh,
growing
yeah,
on
you
trees.
called that one. Look at that. Oh,
And
yeah.
this is one way that they do make some of their money is they'll
saw
grow
the
the fruits and take it to market, and
Mm-hmm.
it's what helps them
Right.
manage to get by with so little.
So the gardens that the community gardens, are they fruit and vegetables and flowers, or what are they that you help them to
Well,
get started?
they are planning, especially with the pilot project in Granada. It's at a school.
Okay.
And so we've done a master plan for the school site, and recycling is an issue, and teaching about the environment and ecology is so crucial in that country, because they've had encounters where outside forces have come in and cut their wood, the best wood, their best trees. And the person who's connected with us at the garden is an environmentalist at heart.
Good.
And this is part of the effort of connecting to preserve what they have with the conservation.
And the companies that are coming in and cutting that wood are usually not local companies.
No, they're not. They're not. And so that's some of the issues that they're trying to address.
Those are big issues. And some of those probably seem insurmountable to them, but you start small.
You do.
You know,
you have to begin somewhere, and they are. And part of the issue too, because of the lack of development, they use firewood in many of the villages or outlying areas.
So there goes some more of the trees.
So there goes more of the trees, and so there's that issue as well. How to address that?
Yeah, how to refurbish that supply of wood.
Well, even to get away from that, and that's where some of the environmental developments about water and using solar ovens. That can be made by hand as a project. There are amazing things that are available now.
Right, but you have to know about them.
You have to know about them. You have to have access.
Right.
Have
now,
to have a means.
These little vehicles they have here.
Those are the fun taxis. I would love to have those in Rockwood. Wouldn't that
be
wouldn't
great?
that be fun?
Little petty taxis, are they little pedestrian taxis? Yeah, and now that's a good environmentally sound choice, isn't
very
it?
clean and healthy, physically healthy.
Yes, I like that.
You know, I should be doing one.
See if we can get you one, Kathy. Oh, what a pretty beautiful building.
This is Colonial Granada, and it's just a beautiful city. And they are restoring them. There's an effort, because they do realize us baby boomers are going to want to head to the sun, right?
Well, yeah. So the tourist industry, is it starting to?
It's beginning to take off.
There?
Of course, you've had Costa Rica,
which is and the ecotourism in Costa Rica is a huge thing now.
And Nicaragua realizes, well, they could provide that too.
Yeah, sure.
That they have so many beautiful sites to go visit and to experience the natural environment of butterflies. Yes. And I love that one. I had to show that one because most of us have never seen a cashew. We only see it to eat it.
Yeah.
That's a cashew. That's how it is
I would never have known that was a cashew.
on top of that fruit. And then
it's almost like a yellow pepper or something.
No, but it's a sweet fruit, actually, and they use it for juice. And it's a delicious juice. Lots of different types of fruit that we don't see here.
Yeah.
That we
I'd
don't
like to go down there and just eat the food.
Oh, it was wonderful.
I bet it was. Oh, that's great.
And I love this. This is a bug that was at least that big.
Oh my gosh.
And I haven't had opportunity to look up to see what it is called.
It's really cool looking, but I'm not a big fan of bugs, but it's really pretty.
They just had wonderful, the imagination of look what's out there.
Yeah.
And this is where the tourism and the ecotourism is going to continue to develop and prepare for. This was up above Granada on a co-op. The co-ops have helped bring their economy back.
Okay.
And,
like what kind of co-ops?
Holding it in stability. Banana co-ops, banana plantation co-ops, avocado.
Where the people actually are part owners in the business. That's what you mean?
The land has reverted back to the people from the Somoza family, which was gathering as large as El Salvador in size while they were in rule. Wow. And so the people, it reverted back to people. That was all worked out. There still are some issues, legal issues around that they have to deal with.
Some people are getting the land
back.
But
it's getting it back in the way it should be. They can use it to private ownership
for their own businesses and
they can develop
a lot of agricultural business there. What is it?
They have flat land. They have agricultural areas, but the fruit trees are everywhere, or avocados grow everywhere, the best avocados.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Good eating.
Yeah, I bet.
And
What's their biggest source of income there? What is their, do they export?
they have tobacco, coffee, and they couldn't believe I didn't drink coffee.
I don't either.
You don't drink coffee?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
And it's probably wonderful coffee
So,
too. Yeah.
yes, from what I was told.
Yeah, I bet it is.
And one of the issues is, as that development, the underdeveloped countries, is the foreign investment. So you'll have a factory, and an item is made by a Nicaraguan in Nicaragua, but it's owned by China.
Right.
Then the investment.
So all that benefit, I mean,
And in some ways that benefits the country.
yeah, because they have jobs.
But it's because
more of the benefit
China
probably goes to
can't pay
China.
as cheap labor on theirs, then they're turning to other underdeveloped countries. So that's an issue that they also want to have jobs for Nicaraguans provided by the economy of Nicaragua.
So tell me what you're doing with all this information. You went down there and you met the people, and you are now a consultant. So you're going on every week. You're meeting online to talk with these people and help be an advisor. What all are they doing? Are they building gardens? What's going on? What's the legacy you left down there in Nicaragua, Kathy?
It's just amazing. In 2 months, it's only been 2 months since we've returned, and already the pilot project in Granada, whole blocks are now recycling and collecting Coca-Cola cans and bottles, turning them into at the school site so that they can then turn it in to raise money for their project of the garden.
That's so great.
One is based on the children's garden, but they're doing other types of garden. The teacher has 84 students in teams of 4 that are already doing research to find out ways that they could recycle maybe the cashew nuts to put when the ground gets so dry and dusty.
Like a ground cover?
Ground cover.
Like instead of gravel,
yes,
it would be a cashew nut
of
path
what
or
is
something.
available to them, their resources.
Makes perfect sense.
And they're already working towards these newer developments, and they're all excited about it.
How great that is must be, not just for the kids, because it's got to be huge for the kids, just because that's
it's their
spurring their
future.
imagination.
They know it's their future.
But for the parents too, knowing my kids and my family are involved in something that it's going to be better for their future, but it's also sparking their imagination. It's giving them something more exciting to do, and something that's practical and fun, and I mean, it sort of affects
really
a whole lot of their
applies
life.
to their education.
Well, sure.
And because their needs are so great, their educational options are so limited.
So this is an education there that's
they're doing this
huge.
part now, and they've already developed their own Facebook page, of course.
Really? Oh.
Of course.
Oh.
and so we're connected that way too. And
How can we go to like their Facebook page? What would we go to?
You would go to Corazon Green.
Corazon Green.
Ecological.
Corazon.
Green.
Green.
Ecological. ECOLOGICO.
I see. Okay.
And so people can connect with that and see the weekly activities that the students are planning. And it was really cute because they're earning money for, they have some plumbing that has to be done at the school for the gardens to be watered. And the superintendent came and visited and was becoming involved in the project too. And he asked, "Oh, do you have refreshments?" "Oh, yes, we do. We have something to eat and drink," but they made him pay for it.
That's great. That's great.
So it goes in their project.
That's great. I love it.
And they're learning to be entrepreneurs too, and how to manage.
That's
and
wonderful.
funding.
Which
and
is
so
their
it's all
math and their business.
Yes.
It's just
part of their business sense.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Preparing them for their futures.
Yeah. So how do you see the future going from here on out? Do you plan on going back there sometime? Do you have other people that might go back there? And
there's already
carry on?
talk of a conference, and one of the most exciting parts is, and that's very important, and I urge people to really listen close to this part, because Mount Hood, our own Mount Hood Community College, for 25 years has been training students from Mexico and Central America, from these countries.
To do what?
To study the environment, to study recycling, to study reforestation, to study about composting toilets, to all these, and about water.
And then to take that back to their countries?
And take that knowledge back to their countries. And they're at a point now of the need to connect the dots, literally those returning students, and bring that to a greater impact and effect.
So how can we help?
Well, there's word that because of our congressional budgets, that program may be cut.
Oh dear. Okay.
They have one more year to complete a cycle, but the needs in Nicaragua are coming together, and those developments are coming together. It's more important than ever.
So can people get involved? Can they contact their congressman?
Congressman Blumenauer and Senator Wyden, and both are supportive of the college program. They both understand the need for it, but they need to hear from people.
So just go to the Senator Wyden's website and Blumenauer's website and just
get
contact
the phone
them. Let them
number.
know that you support this. What is it called?
They can either write to the Oregon address, their offices near Lloyd Center, or they can take the phone numbers right off the screen and just make a quick call.
And what would they call this? How would they refer to it? If
they would refer to it as the Mount Hood Community College SEED program, which is an acronym, SEED, and urge the representatives to support it and to urge Congress to support the funding.
Something like Student Education for Economic Development or something like that, probably.
Ecological and environmental, which in turn then is economic development, because the green jobs that develop, and this is what will happen in Nicaragua and the other Central American nations, because once you do pilot projects, there's already one teacher has already moved on to another school and will begin replicating what has been done.
It's a domino effect
at that school. Exactly.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And then this can also be done in the other Central American countries. There are 9 total that the college has students from in Mexico. So they're doing it. That's the really neat thing.
We can help keep it going. We just need to keep that funding going.
So please call.
We are out of time. I appreciate so much you sharing your wonderful trip and all the great work you've been doing, Kathy. I really appreciate it. And I hope that people will take the time to call their congressman, their senator, let them know that the Mount Hood Community College SEED program needs to keep going, and and share with your children what's going on. Take them to the imaginative garden this summer.
We're already getting ready for summer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for watching Community Hotline. I hope you've gotten something out of this show. I know I have, and I hope we'll see you back here next week. I'm Monica Weitzel. This is Metro East. Thanks, Kathy.